Welcome to the Cubefunder Championship here at the wonderful Luton Hoo. It's event 10 of the PGA EuroPro Tour season, and the race for those top 5 spaces is really heating up.
Goodbye to the old me, say hi to a new me, rewriting the story, goodbye to the old.
The Cubefunder Championship comes hot on the heels of the Nokia Masters at Mannings Heath. It was a thrilling 3-hole playoff to decide it in the end. Mitch Waite was the champion, and we'll be catching up with him a little bit later on. As far as the order of merit is concerned, that win pushes Waite up 19 places to third. John Parry leads the way, Will Enifer in second, and the remaining top 5 places are currently held by Joe Dean and Jack Yule. All that could change over the course of the next 3 days. With so much at stake at each tournament, each pound won becomes crucial for those Challenge Tour spots. Luton Hoo is a venue with plenty of history. The house behind me dates back to 1767, and it's had a rich and varied past. Winston Churchill stayed here during World War II, and you might even recognise it from films like 4 Weddings and a Funeral and Enigma. The golf course itself was originally designed in the Victorian era, but the 18 holes that they face today is a much more modern challenge for our field of 156 golfers.
The challenge, I'd say, is definitely the 13th hole, the longest par 3 in Europe at 275 yards. Some challenging par 4s out there with a lot of rough. Having no bunkers, that is definitely protection, and a few water holes too on holes 4, 8 and 11. It's very easy to look at, having not so much trouble out there. However, I believe it's protected land on what's a private estate, so yeah, that's why there's no bunkers.
Well, Mitch Waite's hopes of going back-to-back took a major boost with a second round 65. Last week's winner is joined on 10 under by fellow Englishman Josh Hilliard, along with Scottish pair Sam Lock and Jeff Rice. Ireland getting in on the act with Owen Leonard, who alongside Tom Sloman and Dan Brown is one back. And great to be joined once again by Gary Ellis. Gary, looking forward to this final round at Luton Hoo, and you're going to tell us all about the third.
I am, thank you, Michael. Yes, the third, 393 yards. These 2 lakes that we're passing, the one on the right will catch a sort of weak slice shot, but shouldn't really affect the players in this event at all. So they'll be driving just where we're seeing the players walking now, turning slight left towards 11 o'clock. To a green that's really quite receptive. It's banked up and round, and if they do stray just off, the ball will kick down onto the green. Lots of pin placings in that heart-shaped green.
Jamie Rutherford has made an early move. He's just birdied the second, so already back to only 1 behind. Chance of another one. Dermot McIlroy is off to an amazing start here. He's birdied all of the first 3. And just to say, at the 4th here, a hole-in-one prize on offer, sponsored by Academia. It's an Apple Watch and TV. 67 and 71 so far for Dermot McIlroy. Now let's hear what Sam Lock had to say before going out.
I've had a good couple of days, the first 2, so just going to stick to the same processes and hope for the same again.
What are the processes and the good bits of play that have enabled you to get to 10 under?
Yeah, I've just my short game's been good. I've holed a couple of nice putts and drove it half decent, so yeah, that's kind of why I've scored all right, so hopefully I can do the same again today. What do you think of this layout here at Luton Hoo? Yeah, I really like it actually. I played it a couple of years ago on the Challenge Tour. I enjoyed it then, so I was kind of looking forward to coming back when I saw it on the schedule, so yeah, I really like it.
Certainly liked it yesterday when he shot 66, and he's parred the first today.
Top of the hill with his second shot on this second hole. That's one of the things here at Luton Hoo. The contours, they're quite extreme, and you can use them to your advantage, but occasionally they will throw the ball away for you. McIlroy, we saw his tee shot bounce too, and oh, Michael is on fire at the start of this round. There's a great chance. Beautiful putt.
Yeah, the stuff of dreams. 4 straight birdies to start. You don't see that very often at any level. Last week's winner, Mitch Waite, par at the first for him today.
Just a little bit of breeze around and about the property today, which is adding a little bit of testing, particularly when you're playing down to the greens. Steady on. Trying to get away from it. Oh, look at that. Amazing.
Those contours you were talking about, Gary, working against him there. Now, Jeff Wright was one of the 4 joint overnight leaders. Let's hear what he had to say before teeing off.
Jeff, you started the season without any status on the EuroPro Tour. You Monday queued your way in at Donington Grove. You're now 13th in the race to Alcanada. It's been quite a season, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've had to readjust my goals. As you say, at the start of the year, the goal was just to get status, which I managed to do early, thankfully. And then, yeah, since then, just now aiming for the top 5 for the race to Alcanada.
Without that opportunity to get into a field early in the season through the qualifiers that were introduced, where do you think you'd have been?
No idea. Yeah, I would have had a really boring summer, probably 2 or 3 months with not much golf. So yeah, very thankful for the pre-Qs.
How did you approach those? Because for you, especially being Scottish, you had to do a lot of travel just for potentially one round and then to go home again. So it was a big chance you took, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think Donington was a good 9-10 hour drive for me, potentially just for one round of golf, as you say. So yeah, I guess I just had to make the most of it, and thankfully I managed to do that.
How pleased have you been by your form, given where you started the year?
Very pleased, yeah. I've been really consistent. I think I've played 8 events now, and I've had 6 top 15, so I've been really, really consistent. But as you probably know, consistency in pro golf isn't really rewarded. You've got to, when you're hot, you've got to strike. So that's hopefully the plan today.
What do you think's that little missing ingredient that's going to get you over the hill?
I'm not sure. Just maybe a little bit of luck and just keep knocking on the door. I think that's all you can do.
You got the win on the Tartan Pro Tour earlier this season, so you know how to get the job done. What can you take from that experience that you apply to a day like today?
A lot of confidence, as you say, from getting the job done, and just, yeah, experience from having been in that situation before.
And looking at Luton Hoo this week, obviously no bunkers, a little bit of a quirky layout in places. What do you make of it?
I like it, yeah. I knew coming into the week there was no bunkers, but I keep forgetting. You don't actually notice. I thought you'd be really much aware of it, but yeah, you don't notice it until someone points it out, to be honest. So no, I like it. It's a good golf course. It's a good test. It's really firm and fiery this week, so you've got to be in control of the ball. If you're in the rough, it's tricky to hold greens. So yeah, it's a good ball striking test.
Fortunately though, the man from Forres Golf Club has dropped a shot at the first to slip out of the lead.
Firing it down towards the green, just held up there. Nice to listen to Jeff Wright, articulate young man.
Yeah, good to see so many Scots doing well on the EuroPro this season. Very few of them near the highest levels of the game these days, but maybe that will change. Now, will it be back-to-back birdies for Rutherford? Oh, so close. Decent chance. Let's slip away there.
Mitch Waite really unlucky with his second shot into the par 5 here, the second hole. Nearly stayed on top, but it's just trickled down and you can see where it's ended up. And this bank in front, let's take a little walk up just to show you how steep it is. It really is. It's a good 6 or 8 feet up to this pin. And when you can see when you get up here, not a lot of green to work with. It does slope from left to right. Now he could play the flop shot, but that's a really high tariff, high risk shot. What he might do though is just bump it into this bank, try and take the sting off it and hope he can judge it. So he just gives it somewhere around here. Really difficult shot from down there though.
Such consistency from Waite. 9 cuts made out of 9, and remember, only about a third of the field get through to the final round each week, so it takes some doing.
Yeah, it was a very difficult shot. He chose to bump it into the top of the hill, probably almost about as good as he could hope for, in fact, from having been unlucky to run down there. Sam Locke. Interesting setup with the feet very close. Very nice touch there, that's beautifully judged. You've got to be careful with these, keep your balance, keep the club swinging long enough and slow enough to be able to elevate the ball onto the green.
Now Ireland's Owen Leonard represents the Wentworth club. He's been talking to Kit.
I feel like it's been coming. I've had some pretty good golf recently and just not had some of the breaks I wanted, and yeah, very pleased to be competing and in the mix for the round today.
How much are you looking forward to today's final round?
It should be good fun. The course is a good test, so that's always fun, and then yeah, being in the mix is always great. So really looking forward to it.
Leonard bogeyed the first today, but he hit straight back with birdie at the second. Here he is on 3, Gary.
Yep, not far from the green. Ball slightly above his feet. Shouldn't present too much trouble, and it certainly doesn't. Come on. Oh, tell you what, could be another one under.
Jeff Wright, who we heard from a few minutes ago. Gonna have to get that ball marker out of the way. This is Tom Sloman, runner-up twice this season at Cumberwell Park and Vale, his best EuroPro finishes to date.
Certainly interesting watching the use of these contours. I'm enjoying it already.
Wait to lead on his own.
Not much movement on this, just on the edge of the hole. Yes, beautifully judged. Just popped it in from that front right corner.
Nothing like a win to breed confidence, and you can see he's carried it forward into this week. Now Sloman for his birdie.
Jeff Wright. This little one, just over 30 inches, not quite a yard. Yes, no trouble.
Seen a lot of birdies here, but not particularly long putts, so high quality approach play going on in these early holes.
This one again, really no break in it. Right in the middle. Well played by Owen.
Locke surely going to join weight here. Making it look easy at the moment. Locke and Waite then, both birdie the first of the par 5s to pull away ever so slightly. 5 players just a stroke adrift, including McIlroy, who's followed his 4 birdie start with pars at 5 and 6. Let's hear from the manager here, Jonathan Brown.
Luton Hoo is Hoo meaning hill, so it's back in Saxon times. It was an estate back then. The existing house, as you can see here, dates back to the 1700s. Where it was first designed and built with the help of Capability Brown landscaping the grounds and so on. The house was extensively modified over the years, and in its existing guise, as you can see it now, it would have been developed back in the 1890s, and it was then transformed into a hotel in 2007 to be opened up as a luxury 5-star resort in many ways, with bedrooms, conference facilities, golf course, as you can see. The house has been used for a few James Bond movies, so if you watch the Goldfinger and so on and so forth, quite a few were filmed in our drawing room. Actually, in our brasserie, we've got a whole compendium of the Bond movies that were filmed here. More recently, Stanley Kubrick, it was a local resident of the area, and filmed Eyes Wide Shut was filmed here with Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, and that was back in the early 2000s, so that was his last film, I think. So yes, it's appeared in a number of quite big productions, and keep your eyes peeled. You never know when you may see us again.
Mitch Waite and Sam Locke form an Anglo-Scottish pairing at the top. More from Luton Hoo in just a moment. Welcome back to the Cubefunder Championship at Luton Hoo. Tom Sloman, who's had 3 notable top 5 finishes this season, is up among the leaders again, but a new challenge awaits down at nearby Whipsnade Zoo.
Where's your giraffe love come from then? Because we were talking earlier about Madagascar and you immediately knew the name of the giraffe in that. What was the name again?
Melman, isn't it?
Oh, look, you're playing it all coy now, like you went straight in there before.
I definitely watched it before.
I've heard they've got very long tongues, Tom. Is that unnerving you in any way?
Well, they don't suck us in, isn't it?
Well, yeah. That's why I've still got my golf shoes on, a bit of traction to fight back.
Exactly.
There it is.
Bloody hell.
As majestic as it is ridiculous.
So here at the zoo we've got 4 giraffe, and these are reticulated giraffe.
Are you going with the interlocking grip or the?
I think so, yeah, I'm going like that.
Holding it like a golf club.
Yep. Jesus.
Usually they reach about 17.5 foot. They only sleep about 25 minutes at a time. They'll eat a lot of acacia plants, quite poisonous to sort of other animals, but these guys are fine, they're adapted to it.
Oh, Tom, we just fed some giraffes. How was that for you?
Beautiful, that, wasn't it? I think you enjoyed it more than me, but...
I definitely enjoyed it a lot. That was amazing. All right, let's get back to business. The golf. How do you feel your season's gone so far? It's your first one on the EuroPro Tour.
Yeah, it's gone pretty well. Been in contention quite a lot, so that was probably the main goal at the start of the year, just to get themselves into contention. That hasn't happened yet, but hopefully.
Oh, it's coming, it's coming. What have you thought of the standard of the tour?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. There's so many guys up there every week, isn't it? There's more depth to this, just so many people that are good.
You did get to the top of the amateur game. You played in a Walker Cup. That must have been an incredible experience.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, yeah. Can't really describe it. I don't think you get anything like it apart from the Ryder Cup.
Obviously turning pro off the back of an experience like that, achieving what you did in the amateur game, you've got to have pretty high expectations. So how do you sort of balance that with the fact you do have to almost start at the bottom and work your way back up again when you are in the pro ranks?
You just got to play golf, haven't you, and see what it does. And obviously I was good enough to get at the top of that, and hopefully I'm good enough to work my way out of these tours as well. So I just haven't quite got across the line. Like Jack obviously shot 4 under at East Sussex, which was unbelievable, about 80-mile-per-hour winds. Can't really do much about that, can you? So got to take your hat off to some people that are shooting that.
And obviously you're getting to live out your dreams. A lot of people watching at home, if they could be a pro golfer, that would be the best thing in the world for them. How much fun is it, as well as the serious stuff that goes on?
Yeah, it's good. It's actually quite tiring, to be honest. Travelling all the time is quite tiring. But yeah, it's obviously I travel around with my mates all the time at the moment, so yeah, it's all good fun. Yeah, we have a good laugh and that, so yeah, it's all been good.
And what would it mean to you if you did get over the line, get that win this season, and get yourself into the top 5 and onto the Challenge Tour?
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Just one season at it, and yeah, if I get there, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. It's been fun feeding those giraffes with you.
Yeah,
good to see you in
fun,
action
yeah.
on the course. Well done, Tom.
Cheers,
mate.
Cheers.
Well, I'll stick my neck out and say we could be heading for a close finish here. This is where we left it. Sam Lock and Mitch Waite tied for the lead at 11 under. 5 players just a stroke behind. And look at Callum Fife. He had an eagle at the second today and is already 4 under for his final round after just 6 holes. And here he is, Gary, on 7.
Yeah, good player, Callum Fife. Nice hole, just looking down from the tee. All in front of the players. And it's all really just about picking the right club, which is pretty much done very well there.
So consistent this season, Rutherford. 5 times already he's finished in the top 10.
Oh, that's a cracking shot. Beautifully played and controlled. 2 coming up there, I would think.
Yeah, and from the first of the short holes to what has been, over the opening 2 rounds, the easiest of the par 3s.
McIlroy, has he found another great shot? He certainly has. That's a cracker. Enjoying his round today.
Sam Lock has pulled a bit of a juicy lie over here on the right-hand side of the 3rd fairway. Only 117 yards to that pin that you can see behind me, but you can only just see the very top of it. That tells you this plays quite a bit uphill. A good club, I would say. The wind, which is actually quite strong today, is coming off the left. The real trick here, getting it all the way back to that pin position. It's right on the back portion of the green, but it doesn't look like it is from here.
He's played every event this season, but before this week he'd only made 2 cuts from 9 starts.
Yes, as Kit said, this is a pretty thick lie, but not far from the green with the lofted club. The key is, can you stop the ball quick enough? And he did a pretty good job, as we could see.
Rutherford then gets his second birdie already as he chases his first EuroPro Tour win for 6 years. Fife was runner-up on the EuroPro for a second time at Montrose Links earlier this summer.
Down off the fringe. Has he read it right? Looks like he has. Oh, beautifully done. Got good putting touch, Callum Fife. I've watched him quite a lot over this last season or so. So, a look at the par 3 fourth, just 188 yards, elevated tee. This lake again is almost ornamental. It doesn't really come into play for these players sitting back some 15 yards or so from the front of the green. It's all about getting the club right to find the correct part of this peanut-shaped green.
We mentioned Sloman's 2 runner-up finishes from earlier in the season. He's also been 3rd at East Sussex National. But really, consistency doesn't get the job done in terms of getting one of those 5 Challenge Tour cards. You really need to find a win somewhere.
It was a bit wayward. Mitch Waite now. Just a lofted iron, throwing it high into the air. Yeah, pretty good.
What's going on with Dermot McIlroy? He's not had a birdie for 2 holes now. But back onto the birdie trail very quickly. That's his 5th of the day. And Waite is looking for 2 in a row.
Just got to be careful coming down from here. It doesn't slide off to the side. Yeah, just like that. Just a little bit of movement and you can see the ball coming over the top of the hill here.
Now let's go back to Tom Sloman. We saw what you described as a wayward tee shot from him, Gary, and he was only able to get it to here for his par. Walking after it quickly there.
Yeah, it was obviously a poor lie he pulled over on the left, and he'll be a bit disgruntled with himself, missing this green.
Bit of a production line of talent going on from the Paul Lawrie Golf Centre up in Scotland at the moment. Sam Locke very much part of that. But just misses the chance to lead on his own, and instead remains in what's now a 3-way tie after McIlroy's birdie at the 7th. There are now 8 players covered by a single stroke, and do keep an eye on the amateur Ollie Huggins, who's now only 2 off the lead.
What can Mitch Waite do on this par 3? Soaring through the air. Ooh, that is a bit of a misjudgment though. Club short at least, going for that back pin pace.
Yeah, if he could make it back-to-back wins today, certainly be a case of having one hand on a Challenge Tour card for 2022.
That's a very good example of how difficult it is around here. Doesn't need any bunkers. If you miss these greens and get the wrong side of a hump, you've got a very, very tough shot.
Now this is Leon Fricker, who missed the cut in his first 7 events of the season, finally made it at Manning's Heath last week and finished in 45th place.
Wait, a lot of ground to cover and then not much green. This'll test his skill. And I have to say that was skillfully done, because that was a difficult shot, believe me.
Yeah, and one that he made look quite easy. Leonard has missed his last 5 cuts. Only made 1 out of 8, in fact, prior to this week.
We saw it run across. There's not much movement here, firmly into the centre of the hole. You could see it was downhill, so it was going to be fast, but you only had to look at the stroke. It was really rather tentative, and you've got to take these ones on.
Yeah, couldn't complete the up and down, having really done the hard part, I think, with the shot before that. Fricker's a good player. He's had a top 10 on the Challenge Tour not so long ago in the Czech Republic.
Very sartorial trousers Mr. Fricker's wearing.
Well, I mean, everything about him stands out, doesn't it? Great hairstyle and everything. Dermot McIlroy standing out with his golf. He's had another birdie at the 8th. Here he is as he comes to the turn. Should mention the winner of this event will get into the BNL Trophy in the Netherlands later this month. It's one of the most lucrative events actually on the Challenge Tour this season, €250,000 in prize money.
That's a good prize that I don't suppose Waite will have uppermost in his mind, but it may be lurking there somewhere in the recesses as he pops another one. Pretty close.
Now this is our first look at Ollie Huggins, the amateur I was telling you about. 5 under for the day. He'll have that to be out in 30.
I think those two are feeding off each other as we take a look at Sam Locke.
Just to update on him, he's had a par at the 4th.
And as you said, Michael, Paul Laurie's Golf Centre is supporting and developing a lot of very good young players, which is great for Scotland.
Dermot McIlroy represents Ballymena Golf Club, not far from Belfast.
He's tiptoed along well this season, McIlroy, without winning as yet.
First sighting today of Dan Brown, one of the stars of the EuroPro Tour so far this season. 5 pars to start, and he's just birdied number 6.
And that one looked good in the air, right over the top of the flag, although a little long. After another nice shot that we saw coming into this green. Can Huggins roll this one in from about 15 feet?
Well, no birdie there, but he has had 4 of them already, and an eagle. And that little tap in takes him out in 31. McIlroy, though, can go one better. This for a 30. So he stays at 12 under, which means Waite has this to get back to 1 behind.
Can just down the hill, stroke beautifully. That's a great putt there. But again, it shows they're quite tricky to read with not much movement on these greens, just a whisker.
Oh, look at this. Lovely feeling. And he'll need that as he heads to the 8th, because he took double bogey 7 there yesterday.
Locke's birdie putt. Just keep it inside the hole. Yeah, beautifully done. There's some great putts going in, Michael.
Absolutely. And it all leaves us with a tie at the top once again. McIlroy with 6 birdies and a glorious front 9. Locke picking up 2 shots already. Callum Fife got another birdie on number 8. So like McIlroy, he's out in 30 and now only 1 behind. Northern Ireland and Scotland leading the way in the form of McIlroy and Locke at Luton Hoo, where the action continues next. Welcome back to Luton Hoo. Now the Pro-Am took the spotlight on Tuesday, featuring plenty of big names, a great learning curve for the pros involved.
Gave an opportunity for our younger players to rub shoulders with some celebrities, some sporting celebrities who have got to the very pinnacle of their sport, and all these questions asked from our younger players to give them some sort of insight into what they need to get to the next level. But it was great. We had Teddy Sheringham, obviously we had Alan Kerbersley, we had Neil Back and Lewis Moody, 2 Rugby World Cup winners. Liam Brady, one of the sweetest left foots you'll ever see. Great experience for the young lads, again, as I say, to experience playing with those sporting legends.
Any sport, you've got to practice and practice and practice and put yourself under pressure, put yourself in a position where, when it comes to the big events, you've got that education, you've got that knowledge how to handle it, and that's what we're hoping that these young players can gain by going on the tour. And see, you know, they'll be looking at the senior pros and seeing how good they are and what they do when they're under pressure. So it's a roller coaster that, you know, you get on the treadmill and then you've got to stay on it.
Once you get in on the scene and you get a foothold in it, you realise how much you love doing what you're doing. You're getting paid to, you know, I was getting paid to play football first of all at Millwall, just to get paid to play football. Then later on in life you're getting paid handsomely to play football. What better way is there? And these boys, you know, if they start doing well and then they start enjoying the things that come with doing well in playing golf and winning tournaments, and you know, you want that to continue because it's a buzz, it's a great buzz in life. And the thing is finding something that you still get the buzz of for something when you finish your career.
Do you know what? It's been a lot of fun. People, when you're talking about golf, maybe that wouldn't be the first word that comes to my mind, because I struggle so much as a professional rugby player, where energy, effort and aggression is everything that you put into your sport. You bring that mindset to golf, it tends not to work particularly well. So,
yeah, it's going okay. You know, golf is very frustrating at times, isn't it? You know, it's, you know, they say it's a game that can only be played and never won. And there's times in the last, I've been playing a lot of golf. There's times in the last 6 weeks that I don't know why I bother. Then I'm a complete dreamer, and I believe that there's a couple of times when I come out and I've played well, and I think that's going to happen again. But I have a lot of admiration for the lads that are playing. It is definitely meant to be challenging at times, isn't it?
Well, the final group have now moved through the 6th, all parring it. That includes Locke, who's tied with McIlroy with a group of 4 players right on their heels, as the front runners all find themselves somewhere around the turn. Feeling old watching those stars. Gary, can you believe it's 22 years since Teddy Sheringham got that goal in the Champions League final? 18 years since Lewis Moody won the World Cup with England. But whatever the sport, if you're an elite star in it, the young pros and the golf circuit can learn a lot from you, can't they?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it doesn't really matter what the sport is, but just getting a little insight, having the opportunity to talk to people who've played at the highest level. I think one of the hardest things for golf is that you're out there a long time, 4.5 hours, but in action only a very short time, so you have such a lot of time to think. And the other thing that I believe is that I think a lot of young golfers probably spend too much time practicing sort of on the range, and I think in some cases that time would be better spent actually on the golf course learning how to actually play rather than try and hit perfect shots.
Sam Locke, who we just saw there, of course, can pick the brains of a former Open champion, because, as we said, he's based at the Paul Lawrie Golf Centre. Now, Dermot McIlroy, maybe a champion today. Another decent shot from him at the 10th. Huggins has already had an appearance on the EuroPro this season. It was just last week. He was under par in all 3 rounds at Mannings Heath and finished in a share of 24th.
Locke's got a tricky little chip in front of him here on the 7th. There's just a little bit of grass that might get caught between club face and ball at impact and he's got to carry it about half of the distance that he's got left. Once it gets onto the putting surface, it is going to want to break quite a bit from right to left, and it will pick up pace if he gets it past the hole. We've seen him chip very nicely so far today, but this one will challenge him. I think he's got it in the locker though.
Well, Kit certainly described that very nicely. One other little factor in here is if you just look at the edge of the green, it's looking a little brown, so it's not easy. And as you could see, the grass that Kit mentioned obviously did get between the club face, and it became a bit of a stub.
Now, what a big moment this is, not just in the round, but potentially the season of Jamie Rutherford. He's been threatening a win for a while, and if this goes in, it would put him in a tie for the lead. It would be some effort, though, and he's got it, Gary. An eagle, massive move.
That is, he's hit a lot of good putts, and he deserves that one. Great effort.
And yet, a chance for McIlroy to immediately reclaim the outright lead.
Yep, just slightly uphill. Make it firm enough. Good effort. This is a lovely stroke. See how steady his head is. Just the eyes following the ball. Good putt, just not quite the right line.
Sam Lock had his best ever finish on the EuroPro just a few weeks back when he was joint runner-up at Vale. And that drops him out of a tie for the lead. Ollie Huggins, though, moving in the other direction maybe. Could be only one behind in a minute. Not quite to be, but still having a very good day.
Very impressed with the quality of the greens. Look how that ball's on the ground and running. Great course preparation. Well done.
Yet another big change at the top then. Rutherford's 3 at the long 8th catapults him alongside McIlroy. Those two setting quite a pace. Huggins and Fife, today's other star performers so far. Now the 8th has been the hardest of the par 5s over the 2 previous days.
Wait with what looks like his most lofted wedge. Another good effort. Down there within about 10 or 11 feet of the hole.
Another look at Jeff Wright. As we were saying, he was joint overnight leader. He's just bogeyed the 7th though, so he's 1 over for his round today. Needs to start picking things up if he's to have a chance. I mentioned that the 8th was playing the hardest of the par 5s coming into this final round. Well, the 11th was playing the easiest of them. Can McIlroy take advantage of it?
He's taken dead aim. Oh, looks like it's tracking right on the flag. It was, but as you can see, a hard bounce. Not too difficult to chip back off that bank though for him.
Now this would be unbelievable. Sam Lock has eagled this hole in the first round and the second round. Will it be the hat-trick? Well, that would have been incredible, Gary, to eagle it in all 3 rounds, and he was very close.
He certainly was. Good effort. You can certainly tell there's a bit more activity with the flights coming in and out.
Yeah, I mean, it's so near Luton Airport here. McIlroy was also in that group who shared second place at Vale. He was tied 9th at Harleyford as well, his only other top 10, and he fell away a bit in the final round with a 73 there.
Now Mitch Waite, after a good approach, can he trundle this one in? He certainly can. Right in there battling.
Yep, it's now a 4-way tie for the lead at 12 under par, but perhaps not for very long.
Just straight back up the hill this. Head steady, firm, into the back of the hole. Boom, just like that.
Oh, this is a wonderful day for him. Feels like every time someone makes a move, he responds with one of his own. Great front running.
After all that, this should be a given. Used the edge, but in it went.
Use whatever you can. McIlroy's scintillating day continues. 7 birdies in the first 11 and back into the outright lead. Rutherford has parred the 9th to be out in 32. Lock and Waite with birdies on 8 are alongside him. Here's Waite at the 9th.
I like the rhythm of Waite's swing. It's a easy, looks relaxed, nicely balanced. And when it's working, you expect results like that.
Mentioned Locke's runner-up finish at Vale, but he's had 4 missed cuts in a row since then. He's obviously ended that unwanted streak now. Now let's move ahead a hole where Jamie Rutherford, who we saw making that eagle just a few moments ago, is in all sorts of trouble here on 10, Gary. This is his 4th.
Yes, he's certainly got trials and tribulations here. Again, not coming from a great lie. Hold on. Well, he's getting closer.
Yeah, decent effort from there, but that will be to drop just 1 shot.
Just not what you want after an eagle.
Jeff Wright was tied 2nd at Donington Grove on his first start this season. That's his best so far. Bit of wind starting to pick up now as the afternoon goes on.
Dan Brown then, as we hear the wind rustling through the leaves. Just out the light rough, towering shot. Interesting, didn't release at all. Jeff Wright then, after that good little chip, but just a tricky 4-footer here. Just had a whisker more break. I think he thought he'd hit that just right.
Kind of sums up his day so far. That takes him out in 37. Not keeping up with the pace that's been set here. Dan Brown has been a runner-up already this season. Lost a playoff to the American Stephen Shepherd at Cleveland last month.
Good posture, firm wrists. Just dropping on the green. And almost let the weight of the ball work. Didn't go in, but takes any pain away, really, that.
Now, could this be yet another change at the top? This to tie the lead. Just looks to be one of those golfers who takes everything in his stride. The ideal state of mind, really. Don't know what Rutherford's state of mind is going to be after this hole, Gary.
Bit shredded, I think, unless he can work some magic here. But when things go wrong, more often than not, magic is elusive.
Yeah, and that leaves Rutherford now 3 shots off the lead, which is shared by Locke and Waite, who are both out in 33, and also McIlroy, who's putting everyone else in the shade today. Starting to spread out a touch more now. It's a 2-shot gap to the rest of the field. Let's have a word from our sponsor.
This has been fantastic, this event so far. The Pro-Am was great on the first day, and, you know, the 2 days golf have been amazing. You know, the young players, they just hit it so far. It's fantastic to watch them. Well, this is the ultimate thing, really, to be able to put money into the tournaments and also enable the prize money to be decent so they can at least have a good prize when they're winning.
What did you think of the golf course here at Luton Hoo when you got to play it?
It was fantastic. Long, no bunkers, but every other trap you could have in golf. But a fantastic backdrop for a great tournament, beautiful facilities. I really enjoyed it.
Luton Hoo has been a venue for the filming of James Bond movies. More action for your eyes only, next. Welcome back to Luton Hoo in Bedfordshire, setting for the final round of the Cubefunder Championship on the PGA EuroPro Tour, where 3 players from 3 different countries are out in front. Dermot McIlroy, Sam Locke and Mitch Waite leading on 13 under and now 2 clear of the rest, but so many players could still win this, even Jamie Rutherford after his double bogey on 10. The man from Nebworth Golf Club is only 3 back. But here's the star performer of the day so far, Gary.
Without doubt, Michael, Dermot McIlroy has played beautifully. Another one right over the top of the flag.
Wright was out in 37, so he could really do with a birdie here to start his back 9, and he has birdied the 10th in both rounds so far.
Nearly took out our intrepid cameraman as we're back to McIlroy. Interesting, using the putter from out of the first cut of rough. So smooth does he think the fringes are? He thought that was the best choice, but left himself a bit of work to do there.
Yeah, announced himself with a runner-up finish at Close House 4 years ago behind Gavin Moynihan, and then was second again the very next week at Ballycastine.
Yes, it's interesting. The greens are not that big crosswise. It's very easy to come up half a club short or just a bit long, as we saw this one from Wright. Very open club face. Very little green to work with. The idea was there, the execution a little lacking.
Takes so much nerve to play a shot like that. Brown, one of a few players actually in contention here who've been threatening to win this season but haven't quite managed to get the job done yet. Sam Locke missed 4 cuts in a row, as I was saying, since being runner-up at Vale. Just missed out by 1 last week though at Manning's Heath after a second round 67, so the signs were there that maybe some form was returning to him.
McIlroy, can he insert this to save his par? Indeed he can.
This is the 9th event Wright has played on the EuroPro this season. Still only missed 1 cut. He'll tap that in, but still slips 2 over now for his round.
Dan Brown having just cut his second shot, which took a few yards off it, which is why he's chipping from in front of the green. But a very good chip.
Yeah, bogeyed 18 last week at Manning's Heath to miss the playoff by 1 shot. Big moment this for Locke, Gary.
Yeah, this certainly is. Just needs this one. It just 2 or 3 have just gone by in the last few holes, and I guess, as you were saying, when it's not been going great and you suddenly got a chance, there's a lot more pressure.
Nice little tidy up. This is the sort of range you want for your birdie putts. No great pressure. Brown staying very much in contention. Well, McIlroy has had yet another birdie on 13, so he's now leading alone at 14 under. Waite at 13. Brown followed that birdie with a par, so he and Locke are at 12. The number of close contenders gradually diminishing, but still about 5 or 6 in with a realistic shout.
The 13th hole is the longest par 3 in Europe, and look at it, it's an absolute beast. That pin today is 267 yards from where I am. Now, for most amateur golfers, that's pulling off the head cover from the driver and then thinking about what you're going to be chipping on with your second 4. But for our players, well, it's still pretty intimidating. You will see some timber hit off this tee. Can anyone fire it in close?
Well, Brown played the par 3s better than anyone else over the first 2 rounds, but this is a very different sort of short hole, Gary.
Yes, it is. And gives us a chance to see something that we often don't these days. You know, them having to go with a driving iron, a sort of 2-iron, something like that, which is quite fun to see. And that actually, I think, was a very good crack.
Back to Owen Leonard, who's just faded out of the picture a bit. But might be getting himself a little bit back into it here. Wonderful approach shot. That's the sort of thing that can really get your round going once more. Sloman, of course, is part of the Trinifold stable of players. A handful of those performing well on the EuroPro Tour this season. In fact, let's get an insight into how all that works.
The camaraderie within Team Trinifold is what sets us apart. And they all, what I love is they all support each other, which is great. And they sort of pull each other along. If someone has a great result, so for example, John Goff last week, he won the English Amateur Championship. But if you remember, Conor Goff won it in 2019. It's the first time that it's been done in its 96-year history. You know, siblings sharing the trophy. So that's something that will pull all the team along. And when there's some good professional performances, that will pull all the team along. And what I love about it, they all support each other. When someone's not going through the miscuts and the loss of form, there's a real belief that everybody gives to one another, which is so important. As I've said before, it's very, very easy to support from the bottom up, from the top, from the guys that are doing well. We support from the underneath. It's really, really important that we do that.
So here we see Josh Hilliard, who's been moving along quietly but very nicely here. The left-hander at 11 under. And another one homes in on the pin. Good shot. Jamie Rutherford. This is tee shot on this enormously long par 3. And as you can see, going with the fairway wood. Talking to it, urging it to stay on line with the green. Another little tricky one over that bank he's going to be faced with in a few minutes.
Another movie that was filmed here, Eyes Wide Shut. McIlroy has been in cruise control today. He's just had his 8th birdie, but problems here on 14, Gary.
Yeah, it looked as though he was in some right old jungle country there. Got it out into a goodish spot. This is where I think the players have improved so much. They've you know, they've found a way when they get in trouble with a bit more experience on this tour. They now get themselves out into a playable position rather than taking on something really too risky.
Yeah, I mean, even 4 or 5 years ago, we used to see so many 7s and 8s being run up, even by players in contention in the final round of an event. But you're absolutely right, we don't see anything like as much of that now.
Oh, that's a well played shot from down there, deserving of a ripple of applause.
Big improvement on last week. He was down in 31st place at Mannings Heath. Now McIlroy running into perhaps his first significant problems of the day here. Beautiful response though, Gary.
Yeah, it was. I love seeing old-fashioned chipping where you keep the ball on the ground and just remember the ball's round, it will roll for you. Josh Hilliard then. Well, we saw his second shot. This for an eagle. It's tracking nicely. Oh, all round the edge. That's a great eagle. And Josh earlier spoke with Kit.
Josh, you had a really stellar amateur career before getting into the pro ranks. Tell us about some of the highlights of that.
Yeah, so amateur stuff, that's a long time ago now. I've been a pro for a while, but highlights that I can remember vividly were winning French Am. That's a few years ago now, but yeah, some good memories from that.
How did you adapt to going into the professional game? Because that can be very difficult playing for a cheque, can't it?
Yeah, I think initially I went out playing well, and that always helps. So rather than just turning pro because of you kind of feel like you have to, I was playing well, so it was quite easy. Golf is quite a tough game, so when it gets rough, then you start to learn how to deal with financial pressures that come along with it, but also the logistical side, things that you're kind of used to but not on the same level, and obviously it's week in, week out, so if you get onto a good run, happy days, but if it's a bit more difficult, then it's slightly more tricky to deal with.
You're playing some nice golf now. How would you assess your season so far?
This is the best professional season I've put together to this point. I've been in the mix a couple of times, not quite at the very top, but today we're there or thereabouts, so we'll see how it goes.
How much do those occasions where you do get in and around the leaderboard whet the appetite for doing it more often?
Very much so. Plus, obviously, a lot of the guys you get on friendly with, so it's nice to see them doing well, but you want a piece of the action as well. And it's nice to be sharing the top spot with a few guys that I know really well.
You had a superb opening round, but you started your second round with a double bogey on the 10th, starting on the back nine. How did you recover from that to get yourself back into a tie for the lead?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, first swing of the day is not ideal to lose a ball, but in a way, I had 17 holes to then fight that back. It would have been much worse to finish like that, because that would have made dinner taste rather more sour. But just stuck with it. I knew I was playing, like you said, I was playing well, and there are lots of chances out there. So I stuck at it, and it worked out.
Seen so much of Dan Brown this season, haven't we? He's had 6 top 20 finishes already. Look at that, Gary. He's played 2 really good shots, and that's the effort it's taken just to get a par. Shows how tough that hole is.
Yeah, it certainly is. Now, can Sloman? He certainly can work that one into the hole, because there was a little bit of a swing on that one. Good effort.
One of the other movies that was filmed here, 4 weddings and a funeral. And love really will be all around for McIlroy at Clandyboy next week if he goes there as a winner. We're going to have really good crowds there, by the way.
Definite spring in his step. Rutherford. Yes. Bit of a lap of honour. In it goes.
Talked about birdie opportunities. There are quite a few decent eagle opportunities on this course as well, and we've seen a few already today. Great chance for another one here from Owen Leonard. We saw the wonderful approach shot, and that changes everything for him. Probably too far back to have much hope of winning, but every chance of a nice check. 10 under.
After his 2 good shots, Brown will be pleased to get out with a par. Yeah, definitely a hole to get behind you.
Par for McIlroy then, enough to stay out in front, but it's Hilliard who's made a big move. He's alongside Waite at 13 under. With Brown and Locke just a stroke further back, things are starting to bunch up again. Out to the 11th then, and a look at Mitch Waite, last week's winner.
Middle of the fairway. Good lie, looking straight down on this flag. Yeah, it's a big hit over that water, but helped a little bit because it's downwind today. Good shot.
Hilliard looking for his 3rd top 10 finish of the season. The other 2 came back to back, 5th at Parkwood and then 6th in the winds of East Sussex National.
Rather a popular spot over there on the right-hand side of this green. Doesn't seem to matter which side of the ball you stand on, they all favour that.
Yeah, popular in the sense that there have been quite a few of them down there, but not a spot you would like to go, I guess.
Absolutely. That's a very good shot there to pin high, beautifully judged and controlled.
Sloman is a very capable player. He's had a top 10 finish on the Challenge Tour a couple of years ago. Did well on the MENA Tour last year. He was runner-up in one event and 3rd in another. Well, that's not good body language. There's another one down there, Gary.
Yes, on such a long hole as these par 3s, pros don't really like playing a fairway wood at them. They would prefer to go at it with an iron. But of course, when you're trying to hit it that hard with an iron to get that distance, it's very easy to come off the ball a little bit, and when that happens, they tend to drift away to the right for the right-hander.
You can't blame McIlroy for chasing the flags the way he's playing today, but he has short-sided himself here on the 15th, and my word, it is a tough shot that he's left himself. He's off of a downslope. The pin is just there, what's that, 8 paces to play with, and it all slopes away from him. The one saving grace is it's back into the breeze, but I think the only way he can really get this one close, open up that club face, get underneath it, and play a Phil Mickelson-style flop shot.
Yes, I think Kit's read this one absolutely right. This really is his only option, and as you can see, he's laid the club face wide open, very open stance. Played it absolutely beautifully. I mean, that is a really, really good shot. Almost hold it. Must have a good chance of saving his par.
Tom Sloman, on the other hand, is probably going to drop at least one here. You can see his reaction to the second shot from behind the tree. He didn't advance the ball very far at all. We will see his third in a moment, but first it's back to Waite. He eagled this hole in the opening round. Is he going to do the same? No, didn't quite have the legs in it. But a very short-range birdie.
Yeah, nice when you've only got those to tap in for your birdie.
Oh, look at this for improvisation, Gary.
Yes, that's very good. Turning the toe of probably something like his wedge or his 8-iron upside down in order to get a swing. I think he played it well. He was a bit unlucky to catch the downslope and scootle across the green.
You can make yourself look very silly if a shot like that goes wrong. Now, we've seen some eagles today. Can Locke find one here? It was a tough putt, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of break on that one. McIlroy. This for the par. Maybe just a whisker of swing on this. No, it was beautifully judged. Well holed. That's a very, very good up and down.
He has won at Luton Hoo before, actually, because he took Pro-Am honours here ahead of the EuroPro event that was staged on this track in 2017. Back to the woes of Sloman.
Yes, feeling frustrated, still feeling frustrated, but I don't think either the grass or the tree are to blame for his failings.
They're always to blame when you have a hole like that, Gary.
Golfers always blame something or somebody except themselves.
Sam Locke, you know, has played all 4 rounds in a major. Happened at the Open 3 years ago. But he didn't do it with putts like that.
Liard at the club back in its orthodox dimensions. And a lovely chip run out.
Will still be a bogey, though. The first he's had since the opening hole. Well, this is an absolute horror show. 3 putts from absolutely nowhere.
So hopefully calm down, and can he knock this in?
To see the back of this hole.
Yes, I think we've just been witnessing more films, a couple of Hammer horror productions.
So much changing of hands in terms of the lead today. Now it's Waite with a 4 at the long 11th, who joins McIlroy at the top. Brown has parred 14. Hilliard alongside him on 12 under after a setback at the 13th. Mitch Waite and Dermot McIlroy, 2 clear of the rest now, and both well into the back 9 at Luton Hoo. The final round drama continues in a moment. Welcome back to Luton Hoo. Before we rejoin the action, let's pick the brains of 2 legendary promoters. As Barry Hearn chats with Bill Curbishley about what it takes to make it in sport.
It's obviously a different world, but then I think golf's in a different place than it's ever been before, don't you?
I do.
I think
indeed.
there's more opportunities now. The barriers to entry are not quite as big. You know, people like you have come along and done you a bit for young golfers, and we've stuck with the EuroPro Tour, come high, rain or high water, and giving people that avenue.
Well, you know, the thing is,
I think it's important for us
when I
to
was
see
a boy, on a Saturday I used to sell firewood, so I used to take a cart full of firewood from Forest Gate up the hill to Wanstead. And on the way, on the left-hand side were tennis courts, and on the right-hand side was the golf course.
Yeah.
But it wasn't for us. It was for those other people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was for other people, not us.
Yeah.
And as you get on later in life, it's now accessible to everybody. It's a demanding sport, as we both know, really demanding. Probably one of the toughest mentally. And it's open to everybody. But what you're doing with the EuroPro is fantastic, because it's that stepping stone for young pros, for them to get into their first real competitive situation.
The idea being that it's open to everybody, irrespective of race, colour, creed, family connections, monetary wealth, it's there. It's also a really good way to tell yourself the truth, that maybe you're not good enough.
Yeah.
You know, you need to find that out early, because otherwise you go on for years and years and your life passes you by.
Yeah.
If you are good enough, it's a great stepping stone to the next level.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is that that's what we've set out to do from day one. We've never had aspirations of saying we're going to take over the European Tour or we're going to take over the US Tour, because we're not.
Yeah.
But we fixed it in a way where the doors are open to everybody.
Yeah.
It's just about ability. But to improve your game, you've got to have that experience of those pressure situations.
Exactly.
Where we've had it in business over the years, which is, you know, some people in business survive and some people don't. We're survivors, and I think we're trying to sell that same message to golfers. That 6-foot putt may be a career-changing moment for you.
Exactly.
So you can't afford to miss it.
And when I look at the youngsters out there, every one of them is capable of shooting 6, 7 under. It's
Easy.
just doing it on the right day.
Consistency.
If they do it well, even without the consistency, if they do it on the right day, they're holding the trophy.
Yeah.
You know, and I often say that, to me, as you just said, touched on, life is like a game of golf. You wake up in the morning, you're either in the rough or you're in the fairway and things are going great.
And then you go home.
Exactly, and then you're in the bunker.
Well, Mitch Waite now through the 12th in par, so stays 14 under, the same as Dermot McIlroy, who's having a day to remember. Par's also at 14 for Hilliard and at 12 for Locke, keeping them very much in it here. McIlroy at 14 under. What do you think, Gary? Get one more birdie, take his chances from there?
I reckon that would be a good aim for him. Yep, absolutely.
Hilliard started the week so well, 64 to share top honours in the Pro-Am with Matty Lamb. That was actually 9 under because they played the 16th as a par 5 that day.
So, McIlroy's missed this green, as you can see, and had really another very awkward chip. He's just given himself a little bit of stress over these last couple of holes.
Saying Waite has made every cut in the tournaments he's played on the EuroPro this season, and he hasn't finished lower than 23rd in any of them. But problems here. I think his look says it all there.
He's giving that one a right old scowl. Now this isn't easy because there's a little bit of break in this one, and I think he'll do very well to read this properly. Got to hit it hard enough first, of course.
Yeah, we said he was probably looking for one more birdie. Well, now, having dropped a shot for the first time today, he may well find that he needs to birdie both 17 and 18.
Well, we can just see Mr. Waite's posterior. But he had enough room, and from really a pretty dreadful place, not a bad shot.
Again, he just doesn't seem to be fazed by anything, and he's got himself into trouble there, but barely seems to have taken any notice. Oh, that would have been lovely for Hilliard. Would have been a very timely birdie, but that will certainly be a par at 15 as we return to wait.
Asking a lot to hold this. He's given it a good run, but not today. Couldn't really expect much else off such a wild tee shot.
Ollie Huggins just keeping going here, 9 under par. Played so much good stuff. Now, this isn't in yet. It is now. So McIlroy's first setback of the day doesn't end up costing him a piece of the lead, as Waite also falters on 13, and he's followed that with a par. Hilliard's par at the 15th, matched by Brown, so they both now have only one shot to make up. Now, what kind of challenge does 16 present?
If you get your tee shot away, this is the sort of view you're going to have for your second. Well inside 200 yards. If you get it away, you can have as little as 160. It's downhill, and as the hole turns, you're now downwind as well. So it's easily reachable with a mid, even a short iron, maybe a wedge. But the key here, can you judge where to land it? Because it is going to release and roll.
As we see Rutherford on the 16th that Kits tells us about, just off the fairway to the right, so this will be a little bit harder again to stop coming out of that sort of lie. Let's see what happens to this. Oh, I think he thought very cleverly about that and realised that downwind out of the rough was going to be difficult to stop, and dropped it perfectly in front of the green. Well done.
Sam Locke, a young man who likes to get around. He's played a bit on the MENA Tour. Middle East and North Africa, for those who aren't aware of what the acronym means.
Waite's tee shot. Can he get it closer than Locke did? Little curtailed, choppy, punchy one.
Great chance, given the form he's in at the moment, to make it onto the Challenge Tour come the end of this season. He looks like he's got the sort of game that would be well equipped for that level. Dan Brown has had a top 5 finish on the Challenge Tour in Prague 3 years ago.
Very good shot, Sam.
Yeah, that's another very good shot there. Well controlled. It's a tough game though, Michael, if you're not hitting the greens and you leave yourself with these all the time. You're not going to make many birdies if you're having a chip from round the greens, and your nerves are going to get frayed if you're faced with that hole after hole.
Yeah, and as we've said, no bunkers here, but to me this is perhaps one of the biggest defences of this course, is how difficult it is in so many spots to get up and down if you do miss the green.
Yeah, they've contoured round the greens absolutely beautifully on this course.
Huggins, the amateur, has had a top 10 on the EuroPro before. It was in the first event he ever played on this circuit at Frilford Heath a couple of years ago. He was 7th.
Rutherford, after that very good approach,
McIlroy's left himself 90 yards for his third shot here on the par 5 17th. It's a pretty accessible little pin position though. He's playing nice. If he can pitch this one in close, make a birdie, he can put a number in the clubhouse that will give the late starters something to think about.
this is the sort of shot that tour pros practice all the time. They've got it on a good number for the distance, and they'll stand there hitting shots like that in practice, and that's why it's worth doing. Nearly hold it.
I was going to say, it looks like McIlroy's been practicing that shot himself. Wonderful in such pressured circumstances, chasing his win. Not many birdies here at 15 among the hopefuls. Can Waite get one? well short in the end. Huggins just enjoying it, really. Not playing for money, but really underlining his potential. And he's made a difficult shot look very straightforward there.
Yes, he certainly did. Dan Brown, this 3-footer, his par. Yeah. Good week.
Probably the highlight of McIlroy's year so far, finishing 4th in a Challenge Tour event at Portmarnock Links earlier in the summer. 2nd Challenge Tour top 10 of his career. But perhaps this could be an even better day for him, because with that, he's given himself a really good chance to take it all away here.
Rutherford clearing up here.
Already been a runner-up in the EuroPro this season at Parkwood, and now looks as though that's probably the best he can hope for today. Lock also slipping off the pace, and he could be more or less out of it if this doesn't go in, which it hasn't.
Huggins after that very good chip. Very good experience when you gives you an idea of, shall I take that decision to turn pro?
Yeah, he's only 22 years of age. That's back-to-back birdies now. Big moment this for Waite. Really needs this to go in. Held his nerve well. So Waite avoids falling 2 behind, but with a bounce-back birdie at the penultimate hole, McIlroy yet again leads the way. Brown and Hilliard still in touch, and still with time to do some more damage. It looks to be between 4 of them now, and it's Dermot McIlroy who holds the upper hand in the Cubefunder Championship. The finish is next. Welcome back to the final round of the Cubefunder Championship at Luton Hoo on the PGA EuroPro Tour, where Challenge Tour places are on offer for the season's top 5 performers. And Dermot McIlroy of Ballymena Golf Club in Northern Ireland is having one of the best rounds of his life, hitting back after a dropped shot at 16 to birdie the next, but 3 Englishmen right on his shoulder, last week's winner Mitch Waite the closest of those, and with a greater number of holes to play. And this man, not out of it either, Gary.
He certainly isn't, and he's been there a number of times this season, although that's not looking very pretty. Hardly got airborne at all. I don't know what happened there. That's, I guess, must have been a wicked lie or something, or rather a complete mishit.
Hilliard has been 4th twice in his EuroPro Tour career, so could get his best ever result today. And so indeed could Dermot McIlroy. Let's see where he's driven to at the last.
Well, McIlroy's ball clattered around in the tree just there. It's come to here, and now he's got to deal with this tree, but I think he's gotten away with it. Just 65 yards left, and as you can see, that pin, it's just left of the trunk. What he will have to do, though, is flight it a little bit lower than he would ordinarily. But as long as he can keep it under those branches, it's actually not too difficult a shot for a player of his standard.
Well, final round 64. Got him a share of 2nd at Vale earlier in the season. May well need to go one better today. To do that, he's got to get up and down. And this looks pretty good. Don't tell me he's going to hole it for a 62. It's still going. Oh! Almost shaved the hole, Gary.
It absolutely did. That was a great shot. It really was beautifully played, particularly under the pressure. You can see here, just dropping the club onto the back wall, exactly as Kit told us, keep it under the branch. You're probably glad that they hadn't replaced that dead tree, mind you.
But what a brilliant chance for a 63 for him.
Oh, Brown, after that slightly odd-looking second shot, really caused him any trouble. It's par 5. There he is, but he'd be disappointed if he doesn't get out of it with the birdie.
Now, it would be such a waste of that wonderful second shot if he doesn't convert here. Oh, can you believe he's done that? How costly is that going to be?
Yeah, that could be very costly coming up there. And surprised, but there you go.
And that miss maybe keeps one or two players in it who would otherwise perhaps have been a little too far back.
This man among them. Yeah. He hit a good putt there. He thought that was going to break just a little bit more.
Dan Brown yet to win on the EuroPro. That runner-up finish at Clevedon earlier in the summer. His best ever result.
Yeah, that was difficult. You got a great view there of what a double breaker's like. As it went onto the green, it tracked to the right, then swung back to the left. So difficult to read those accurately.
And that probably ends his chances. He'd need to hold his second at the last. No arguing with that start from McIlroy. 4 birdies on the bounce, out in 30. Only drop shot was on 16, but he responded well at the next. How expensive, though, will that miss at the last be? We will find out. Ollie Huggins had a run of being 6 under for 7 holes on the way to an outward 9 of 31. Faded a bit after that, but strong again at the end. And the amateur set for his second EuroPro top 10 in only his 3rd ever start. McIlroy has done all he can then, a wonderful 64, which could so easily have been even better. Waite needs to find 2 shots in the last 3 to overtake him. Brown and Hilliard now looking for something extraordinary. Let's hear from McIlroy after his finish.
Dermot, that's a fantastic round of golf. What are your emotions walking off the 18th?
Well, disappointed to miss that, but no, very happy to shoot 8 under. I had 15 in my head, forget the 15, so I'm disappointed not to hold up putt in the last, because it would have been a great target. But all in all, yeah, no, a good performance again. I struggled a wee bit with my driver this week, but no, I was very happy in the last round there.
McIlroy's miss means Hilliard still has a chance, but only if he can find 2 shots in the last 2 holes.
Yes, as soon as that one came off the club, it looked as though it was a bit left, which it was, and then took that rather unfortunate bounce. So that may be his end.
Waite has 173 yards for his second shot here on the 16th, but as you can see, it is straight downwind. He's over on the sort of first cut of rough. It's a little bit fluffy, potentially a little bit flyery lie as well. So he's going to have to be conservative with this one. All too easy to run it through the back, but from a lie like this, in these firm and fast conditions, downwind, he's going to have to land it short and hope it gets the bounce that he expected. No way he can carry this to the green and hold it.
Well, Kit's given us a very, very good description of that. You can see he's out with a pretty lofted club, thrown it up very high, and now it just depends on its bounces, and it's taken a wickedly firm bounce.
Oh, well, that's going to be tough to get up and down from there, and if he doesn't, he's going to be 2 back as he goes to the 17th.
Yeah, he is. I think he did everything correctly in his mind there. So anyway, here is the 18th. Almost drivable. It's a sharp dogleg round the corner here, so you almost feel, can I take on this first big tree that we're flying past now? And yes, but then as we saw a little earlier with McIlroy, you can catch the trees on the right and get stymied by the dead tree. But all in all, it's one of those risk rewards. Let's have a go at it and see if we can make a birdie.
Well, Brown has got to have a go at this. It's maybe a 10,000 to 1 chance, this, but if this doesn't go in, his race is run. Wasn't a bad shot in the end, but as we said, he needed a miracle.
Locke, who's had his chances, they've slipped a bit through his fingers, but still doesn't like it, doesn't like the contact. As you can see, he didn't get a clean contact, but still got to get in there and earn pennies.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're not going to win, try and get as many points as you can. Ultimately, it's all about trying to get one of those Challenge Tour cards. Josh Hilliard still looking, as I said, for perhaps his best ever EuroPro result.
Yeah, another one that missed in the wrong place, and as his playing partner there suggested, it skidded on the second bounce. Back to weight here after that one that we saw going through the green. This is not easy. And once you've gone through like that, as you can see where the pin is, no green to work with. He's played it very well, but everything's conspired against him here.
Another chance slips away for Jamie Rutherford. People say if you keep knocking on the door, it's bound to open eventually, but it's not really the case, is it? You've got to actually deliver one of these weeks, and it isn't going to be this one, but it looks like he might finish in style.
Lock. This one trundling forward for his birdie, and thank you very much. He's fighting.
He is. Still has a chance in theory. I mean, as we've seen, 18 is the sort of hole where someone could get an eagle too. So something remarkable could still happen. And Hilliard will need it too now, because he will go to the last tee, 2 strokes adrift. Well, we thought 16 might be crucial. It was the hardest hole on the course over the first 2 rounds, and it could deliver a really decisive moment here. Waite has got to make this, really. Oh, and dribbled it a bit.
He's so annoyed with himself for leaving that short there. Up the slope. Brown. Can he close out with a birdie? All running out a bit out of gas. McIlroy must be feeling happier by the moment.
Yeah, Brown got it going nicely around the turn, and always a nice feeling to get round without dropping a shot. 7 straight pars to finish, though, for a 69. And once again, not quite good enough for Brown.
Big swing from the edge of the fairway. Yeah, very good shot. It's not found the green. That's a good shot.
Mitch Waite has got the best part of 240 yards left to the pin from here on the 17th, and with that lie, I think we can assume he will be laying up. The important thing now, get it to a yardage that you're comfortable with. He's going to be playing just over these trees in front of us, almost across the fairway. There is a bit of a breeze. If he can lay this up to a wedge distance that he loves, he can still make his birdie the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, but the margin for error for Waite is gradually decreasing with every shot, isn't it, Gary?
It is, and you can see he's opted for a big thump with a wedge for his second, looking for that ideal distance. Maybe he's found it. So he certainly had to hit that hard. He was moving some groundworks there.
Now Rutherford can earn himself a few more pounds here. Really should get this. Oh, shades of McIlroy from earlier. Gave himself the chance, wasn't able to convert. 6 at the 10th, jumps off the page, doesn't it? Undoing the good work of his eagle a couple of holes before that. Still wasn't out of it, but could make no further progress. And in the end, you'd have to say that's a disappointing 70 for Jamie Rutherford.
Waite staring this one down. Nice little pitch in. Can he drop it on the right spot and get it nestling right by the hole? No, just not quite judged.
So another player who needs to hold his second at 18. McIlroy already in on 14 under, remember. His reaction suggests that was what he had in mind. Didn't really get close to it in the end.
No, I think he was certainly going for the chip in, and again, the bounce thwarted it. Lock after that very good second shot. Oh, grazing the hole.
Well, now that would have made things interesting, because that would have been an eagle that would have gotten to 13 under, and then the 3 at the last would have got him in a playoff. Just like every golf tournament in history, we see once again how tiny the margins are. Can Hilliard finish with a birdie? Well, Locke didn't quite get to 13. Waite can do it with a 4. And that would leave him needing birdie on 18 to tie.
Oh, lovely putt.
But now he falls into the category of looking for a miracle as well.
Tidying this little one up. Good score, 70.
Yeah, just couldn't build any momentum. Eagle on 11 might have been the start of doing that. But as it turned out, he was 1 over from that point on. And as you say, Gary, it's a 70.
Yeah, most of the contenders have just struggled on this back 9. Tough.
So it looks to be McIlroy's now, but he can't quite get his hands on the trophy just yet, because when it comes to the final hole, you just never know.
Waite needs to hole his second shot and make eagle here on 18 to force the playoff with Dermot McIlroy, and he's left himself with a very, very difficult job to get anywhere close to that, because he's over on the right hand side, he's in this thickish rough. The pin is 96 yards in that direction. He's got to get it over the top of this tree in front. There are firm greens as well. He needs a lot of luck here just to get this one on the putting surface, let alone anywhere near going in that hole.
I'm not even sure from a lie like that that he's actually going to be able to even muscle it hard enough to reach the green.
Well, he was able to have a go, but nowhere near the miracle he needed in the end, and it all means that Dermot McIlroy of Northern Ireland is your champion.
Yes, it was interesting. All these contenders, when put to the challenge, they couldn't quite find that birdie or whatever.
Well, looks like Locke will find his birdie though. No matter what level you play the game, if you do well on 18, play a nice shot like that, it always affects how you feel about it at the end. Not going to be for Waite, but look, it's been a fantastic fortnight for him, hasn't it?
Certainly has. He's had a great 2 weeks. Made himself some good money. Locked in this little one for his birdie, just from 15 inches or so.
Oh no. And now 18's going to affect how he feels about the round in a very different way. Did himself so much damage with that bogey start to the back 9, and in the end he took 38 for the homeward stretch, 71 for Locke, meaning that first EuroPro win will have to wait. Speaking of wait, here's Mitch. Well, around the turn was the best part of his round, with 3 birdies and 4, and the dream of back-to-back wins was very much on, but 2 over for the remaining 7, and the miracle he needed at the last didn't transpire. All of which means that Dermot McIlroy finishes 2 clear in the end, an unforgettable 64 for him, as the English trio of Brown, Hilliard and Waite share second, and hats off to amateur Ollie Huggins at the age of 22, tied 6th, his best EuroPro finish to date. Here's the champion talking to Kit.
Dermot, you posted the number and it was enough. You've won the Cubefunder Championship. How are you feeling?
I'm absolutely delighted. I can't believe it. Oh, I've tried so hard for... This is my first professional victory. I've tried so hard since 2017. And to finally win it's just amazing. I'm absolutely delighted. You know, my main goal obviously is to get top 5 this year, and winning this week is probably put me in the top 5 at the moment. So I'm just delighted to win, and you know, such a grind out there to play such good golf was fantastic.
Yeah, you played some sublime stuff. Where does that round rank up there in your career rounds?
Yeah, definitely the front 9 I played really good, flawless golf really, the front 9. And then the wind picked up the back 9, which made it really tricky, and I made a couple of really good up and downs near the end there. So no, it's right up there, 8 under last round. you know, you can't fault it really.
What a day then for 28-year-old Dermot McIlroy from Ballymena in County Antrim, 3 times a runner-up on the EuroPro, now a winner at last. And with just 5 tournaments to go, he holds one of those Challenge Tour spots, leaping to 4th in the standings. John Parry finished down in a tie for 36th, so White's consolation for missing out this week is that he's the new leader on the Order of Merit, overtaking Parry and Will Enifer, who didn't play here. That's it from Luton Hoo. Next stop, Clandyboy for the Northern Ireland Masters, where Dermot McIlroy will tee it up on home soil as a winner on the PGA EuroPro Tour.